a 21-year-old Reddit user recently posted that he is mostly attracted to men in the 35 to 50 age range. Woo-hoo. He asked other users if that was hot or not, since he felt fine liking older guys, but thought he might feel predatory if he liked a guy so much younger than himself. Question number 3, I'd swallow that. Reddit weighs in on age gap gay relationships. I vote hot or not. What do you guys think?
Well, clearly this kid's never been to tropics in Wilton Manors. I mean, there's an example of mixed age, couples. So I don't think it's not something to be concerned about. I say not.
I mean, I don't know, I'm like this, but whenever I see a couple with a large age gap, I immediately think that, oh, he's with him for his money.
For his money, me too.
And
sometimes it's the reverse. Sometimes it's actually a younger guy with money who's just attracted to...
That almost never happens.
Yeah. It's very interesting because, like, for me, this was my 40th year. I turned 40 this year.
Oh,
and kind of like my sweet spot for dating is like 35 to 45. Like, I want to be able to stick within that range. Mm-hmm. It's not saying I'm not going to date someone older or younger, than that. But it's very interesting, meeting guys my age who say that, I'm too old for them. They want to date someone that's less than 30 or less than 25. And I'm like, they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
So I thought it's kind of like that.
Right, and it's also like, it's a matter of understanding that people with large age gaps are at completely different stages of their life and have completely different experiences and grew up in completely different times, and like really recognizing what that dynamic looks like, because that can actually lead to a lot of issues.
Well, look at the screen, okay? So that actress, somebody tell me.
Sarah Paulson.
And she's been in everything, right? Horror Story, the whole entire nine. She is just a critically acclaimed, incredible actress. And then her partner is this woman that was in 2.5 Men, and she's also been in a shit ton of stuff.
She was in the Ryan Murphy Hollywood thing also.
Oh, she's been in so many things. Great actress, but she's like 104.
Yeah.
And they've been together for like a minute. They've been together, I don't know how long, but I'm telling you, it wasn't like they got together last year. They've been together for maybe a decade, and they seem to understand each other. And whenever they're interviewed about their relationship, they're like, nobody understands me better than her. It just made sense. Yeah. Like Max said, people are in different parts of their life and different of their journey.
Yeah.
And you always meet a youngster like Max, for example, that is older, that has experienced more crap than others.
He's mature.
That can sit down, with somebody that maybe somebody their own age won't, tantalize their brain. And you might need somebody that's a little older. What do you look for? Do you care?
I don't know. I think that, I dated someone who's older than me when I was under 18, which was not a great experience.
How old was he? Or just tell us how much older he was.
He was 8.5 years older than I was.
Okay.
And we dated for like 3 years. I was like 15 when we started dating. And that was, so I think that this is something that's very, very sort of deeply, that I have very, very deep experience about. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I was in a completely, you have a, 20 something, in their mid 20s picking up their boyfriend from high school. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like where you have this sort of dynamic where I wasn't someone that I felt comfortable, hanging out with, we didn't have mutual friends or anything like that. And it's all of those sorts of things that I think set me off on this track of like not being able to have like these long-term friendships in high school and stuff like that. And I think that can be, it's the things like that it's impact that you don't really recognize.
Yeah.
Right.
Until you're really
you're away from
it. Until you're in it. Until you're away from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just watched the show. Faye and I, we watched Uncoupled on Netflix with Neil Patrick Harris. And they have a 10-year age gap in their relationship, and they were adored by all of their friends, for that until something changes. And I don't necessarily want to give it away in case you haven't watched it yet. You have to watch it. And, it's interesting because when things certainly happen, it's like, okay, you were the young, pretty thing, and it's one of those classic stories where someone's always younger and always prettier and,
and then you're not.
And you're not.
Right? Like you hear that, Teresa? You are just, you're sponging me for the best years of my life. If you leave when I'm 50, I'm going to murder you.
No, I whatever people need, I think I respect that. Yeah. And there are people that, the parent dynamic or the parent thing is real. Mm-hmm. Maybe you didn't have that fulfilled in your youth, so you're looking for that. Mm-hmm. So I respect it. But that being said, I do find a reaction when I see a big age difference, in particular with men. Let's say if I were to walk somewhere with Max, I would be not to say I'm very embarrassed to be with you, but I'll be embarrassed of that third party.
Like, are they going to say, "Oh, how's your son?"
Exactly, and it's like, what kind of intellectual connection? And you would actually have incredible intellectual connection, but someone usually that young doesn't. So that's sort of where it makes me feel me da pena.
No, te da pena. Te da pena. You know, it's like, look at them.
Yeah.
You know? But again, like you said, you know, a gusto lo colore. Like, whatever you love, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy is good. And I think that, like, if you're in your 40s and you have a 10-year age gap, who cares? You're in your 40s.
It's also one of those things where it's like the older that you are, the bigger an age gap is sort of like normalized.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Dating someone 8.5 years older than you when I was doing it was very unhealthy and like very immensely damaged me. But if you're
and also very illegal.
And also very illegal.
Say that,
and also very illegal. But doing that, you know, at 4, you know, if Kyle was dating someone who was you know like in their early 30s, like, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think it's that sort of distinction. It's because you're so rapidly going through all of these like really, really foundational, like pivotal moments in your life. You're graduating high school, you're going to college, you're getting your first job, you're setting off your career, all of these super, super pivotal decisions. Whereas, not that it like slows down necessarily, but there's all of these foundational things that are happening alongside someone who is not really going through that experience, you know.
And when they went through it, whatever, how many years.
And it was a very different situation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, and how about for those folks that have daddy issues? And that's like the only reason why they are even going after a daddy.
So intensely when you say that.
Have you dated somebody older since then?
But like by like a year.
Yeah, no, that's not older. That's not older. You sneeze and you catch up.
But I always wonder, like, what are the conversations like in a couple?
Exactly.
What do you talk about the Nixon years? Like, you talk about when you watched the first moon landing.
But if you watch a couple together, you're going to talk about your normal life. You're sharing a life together. Now, I know a couple that they have a huge age gap. It's about 22 years between them. And they have an understanding. Like, the younger one is on Wilton. You know, it goes to Wilton a couple times a week and the older guy doesn't.
So they have an open relationship?
They do.
Oh. See, that's different too.
There you go.
And that's also different too. But again, a gusto lo colore. Whatever makes your couplehood work, then that should be okay.
Yeah, it's weird for me though if I have to explain to someone something about our history that we're so familiar with. And it's like, well, you see, what happened was they invented a cell phone. Because before we used to stand there.
Oh my God. So Madonna really did kiss Britney on a stage back in this time. And they're like, what? You know, I mean.
But I think about it now because if I were to date someone 20 years younger than me, right?
If you were to date Max.
I would date
If you were to date
Max,
Maxie.
Right? And I would date Max. Like,
of course, he's adorable. I'd date Max. I don't even like
yeah,
I'd date
absolutely. But it's like, I always think about like when I was Max's age, like we didn't have social media. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Uber Eats. We didn't have, you know, any of this. iPhones weren't around. Like, it's kind of like, okay.
I'm following at a step with 14-year-olds. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but you know, okay. But I remember being Max's age and thinking that this age was way old.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then you
Like
get to be
40.
that age. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I would never.
I was just talking
ancient.
about it.
I'm not gonna go down on those balls, grow.
I was just talking about it with one of my high school friends that we're still friends, and I was like, "Do you remember like Mr. So and So and Mrs. So and So in high school?" And I'm like, "We're technically older than they were when we were in high school, but we thought they were so old. Like, so they were all in their 30s, and we thought that they were like 70."
Does that still happen? Do you think that we're old as crap?
it depends. I mean, it depends on how.
Watch your words.
It depends on.
Pick your words wisely, Max.
Some people are hip and cool. Right, and
Did you just call us hip and cool like we were at Woodstock?
What did John Hayden say a couple of weeks ago? I don't know.
Something about his butt.
Probably.
He said crunk. I was like, what? You know, well, that's like the old squared because using the word crunk to like make a joke about yourself being old was already a joke when I was in elementary school. So that's literally like that's old to the power of 2. But I digress. So it depends, you know.
It's something you
people are
on
more.
TikTok.
Some people are more in it than others.
Got it. All right. Totally feel like a hippie now. I don't know why being
You're
around
crunk.
hacks I'm crunk.
I never heard
I say
that
dope.
word.
I
What
say
is that
dope
word?
still.
You want to go make some tie-dye maybe later? We can make some tie-dye.
I don't look good in tie-dye. Doesn't go well with this Latin skin.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.